Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey, I'm Johnny Mack with your daily comedy news, a daily briefing on stand-up comedy, comedians, and the comedy industry. A sentence the algorithm loves, so I keep saying it. The Oscars are tomorrow night. They will be hosted by Conan O'Brien for the second year in a row. Conan said it's not just about being funny moment to moment. It's also about acknowledging what there is in a larger sense. As the host, I'm sort of the human avatar or whatever. I'm the entryway for the person watching at home, the person the audience member can relate to. I've been working for a really long time on material for the show with my writers, and it's still evolving because we live in a very fast-paced world. Jokes we thought of 2 months ago are irrelevant now. There might be things that happen this week that will find their way into the show. He recalled last year there were a lot of challenges. The LA wildfires had him working while displaced. Conan said, so this year I get to wake up in the morning in my own room, which sounds like a small thing, but it's a huge thing. Also this year, all the movies are so different. They're all so vibrant. There's so many different voices, so much artistry went into them. I think it's one of the best film years that we've had in memory. As for hosting, he doesn't see the job being punchlines all the time. He explains it's not necessarily about being 100% funny all the time. Sometimes there are moments where it's my job to move us along to the next moment. He and the team talk a lot about prep and design and getting everything just a certain way and practice. But when this show happens, it's an organic thing that's unfolding in real time. The show will be a living organism, for better or worse. Conan did several interviews during the week, one with the LA Times. They talked about the elephant in the room, which is the ongoing war in Iran. Conan said, my job is to always try and hit this very, very thin line between entertaining people and also acknowledging some of the realities. It's a dance that goes on up until the show begins. Between us, and he referenced his executive producers, we'll find the right tone. Conan recalled when Johnny Carson hosted the Oscars during the Iran hostage crisis when I was a boy. Johnny Carson parodied ABC's Nightline with the joke, it's day 444 of the Oscars. Conan said it was such a funny topical joke that touched on something everybody was thinking about, and at the same time got a big laugh and was unifying, and that was meaningful to me. Now, what about the rumored safety threats? One of the showrunners said, every year we monitor what's going on in the world. They have the support of the FBI and the LAPD. The showrunner said, this show has to run like clockwork. Everyone is coming to the show that is witnessing the show, even a fan of the show, and they're standing on the barricades. We want everybody to feel safe and protected and welcome. On LateNighter, Bill Carter spoke with Conan. You can listen to that entire interview on the LateNighter podcast feed, Wednesday's episode, the Bill Carter interview, Conan O'Brien. I just added that to my queue. Let's see how absurd my queue is right now. This is a real number. If you follow me on LinkedIn or the Substack, I've been mentioning this is a real number. Okay, right now, I have 269 episodes of podcasts downloaded to my phone. That would take 290 hours and 28 minutes to listen to all of them. However, it's getting warmer out. Johnny Mack will either walk the dog or sit out in the yard or fall asleep in the yard or sit on a beach or sit up at the new summer place that I bought. So don't worry, that number is going to get lower. I'll eventually listen to Bill Carter and Conan. I digress. Carter asked, is it true that the Motion Picture Academy asked Conan to come back before he even left the stage last year? Conan said, not quite, but it was pretty quick. He talked about being a complete unknown back when he took over for David Letterman. He said, now we live in an era where there's no such thing as a complete unknown. Anyone like me starting out today would have 600 hours of YouTube clips. Conan described his resume back then. He said, a writer, but he's got an interesting vibe. Will there be a cold open on the Oscar? Conan said, you can expect some things. We have more than one thing. We have some pieces I really like. We have some live things I'm really excited about. Very vague. Conan said, what I love most is the process. I love hanging around the writer's room. In my post-late night life, the two things I've missed most are having a writer's room and having a band. When first asked to host the Oscars last year, Conan said, I was intrigued right away. I had done award shows in the past. I like the format. I like being out in front of people. I like the feeling of ceremony because you can kind of play against it. So when they asked, yeah, I have to try this. I'm curious about it. I know it's a lot of work. I know I'm going to put myself through some misery, but let's do it. And as for the second ask, yeah, I'd like to try that again. I had such a good time the first time. I'm glad I did it. They talked about it being a tough room. Conan explained to the people in the room, you're literally the last thing they're thinking about. So his barometer, if I'm having a good time and feeling the flow of it all and I'm making myself laugh, 99% of the time it means it went well. I call that the hallway ratings. I used to talk about this at Sirius a lot. If I was walking down the hall and feeling good about a show and people stopped me in the hallway to talk about what they had just heard on the radio, that's how I knew we had a good show. And like this show here, you know, you do it every day. Some episodes are better than others. Some be realistic. Some days I find a muse and the episode's a little more fun. Sometimes I'm just going through the headlines. Some days there's nothing to work with. Some days I find inspiration on the fly. So I know what Conan is saying. Conan says it's even better if something unexpected comes up during the show. It's a little like Olympic diving. You get graded on the difficulty. If something just happened, people are looking for the host to guide them through that. If you can do it in a funny way, the potential payoff is much greater than anything you thought of 3 months ago. Does Conan miss standing in front of an audience daily? He says, no, I do not. You get one life. I spent a long chunk of my life doing that. I really enjoyed it. It was thrilling. And I like trying out all these other things. I thought I would miss it, but I do not. As for late night, he said, my assumption has been that it's going to morph as everything does. Now people are watching their favorite comedian who no one else in the room has heard of. Had he worked late night in the 50s or 60s, I would have left after the Tonight Show and you wouldn't have heard from me again. Would Conan consider hosting SNL? Asked Bill Carter. And again, you can hear that whole interview on LateNighter. Conan said, good question. I never want to be that guy who comes back and says, hey, this is my old high school. I used to go here. Hey, kids, I'm groovy, but never say never. If it came up, it could be exciting to try. I'm not banking on it, certainly not asking for it. Conan got a big cover piece in the Hollywood Reporter under the headline, Conan O'Brien just can't help himself. Conan said, we work in an industry where everyone's constantly hyperanalyzing where they are on a certain scale. All I can say is I get to do the thing that, for better or worse, I was put here to do. The article quotes John Mulaney, who said, I don't watch a lot of these things, but I just remember thinking, is this the greatest Oscars ever? Conan is a true artist and an incredible broadcaster. He's also got one thing you cannot fake and can only earn, which is stature. Jeff Ross is quoted. He had told Conan when the first offer came in, I told him, you don't need to do this. You've got nothing to prove. When we quit late night, the goal was only to do things that are fun, things we want to do. Well, this is what Conan wants to do. This is interesting. Mike Sweeney was Conan's head writer and says, if anybody knows O'Brien's tell when an idea tanks, it's him. Sweeney explains. His tell is that he mocks it mercilessly for at least 5 minutes. He's most delighted in rehearsal when things go wrong or they're just bad. It's like delivering fresh meat to the lion's cage. And if it's your bit that's getting eviscerated, you're laughing as hard as anyone. You may be curious, how much do you get paid to host the Oscars? Not all that much in the scheme of things. A 2013 article in the Hollywood Reporter suggested a number between $15,000 and $25,000. 7 years ago, Jimmy Kimmel said, I got paid $15,000 to host the Oscar. Wanda Sykes said hosting the 2022 ceremony actually left her out of pocket. I find that hard to believe, but okay. By the way, remember in 2022? Now, that was the year with the famous slap. Every time I see this sentence, it just, my brain fries. Your hosts that year, Wanda Sykes, Regina Hall, and Amy Schumer. Amy Schumer hosted the Oscars. Let's just all ponder that for a second. I just want you to just stop and think for a second. Now, if I said to you, hey, you know who's hosting the Oscars tomorrow? Amy Schumer. You'd be like, what? Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you be like, what? Well, 2022, Amy Schumer hosted the Oscars. That's a thing that happened. The New Yorker asked Conan O'Brien, it's a high risk, maybe even low reward gig, isn't it? And Conan said, I choose not to see it this way. It was really fun. I grew up watching Bob Hope do it, Johnny Carson do it, so it's a very cool thing to be connected to. And as you know, I'm very interested in history, and this thing has been around for 100 years, almost 100 years, so let's have fun with it. That's my attitude. What I've learned myself over time is I can't fake enjoyment. I need to find ways to make sure that I'm having a lot of fun. I need to prepare. I mean, I'm a big preparation person. I work with this brilliant team of writers who are just downstairs from where I'm doing this podcast. I go down there, and they're all around a long table, and they're like, these premises are no good. Yeah, these premises are no good. We got to get the Glengarry premises, and I yell at them. I'm the Alec Baldwin who comes in, gives that great speech up front. I'm talking about the movie now. I think we all know that, not the play. They asked Conan about the slap, and he said, well, you know, I don't want anyone to slap me. I'd like a streaker. You know what I'd really like? A streaker to slap me. That would just satisfy so many of my dormant Catholic hang-ups. But it's a weird duality here. It's a weird thing. I like to plan and I like to prepare, and then I love when something goes off the rails. If accidentally a light falls, you can make a whole show about that. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is about human beings, but they instinctively know when something is real and of the moment, and then they see you react in real time like a human being and make something funny out of it, and that has 10 times the value of anything you could have written. So you have to be open for things to slightly go wrong, and it's fun and electrifying. My whole life has been prepare, but then like any good quarterback, be ready for the whole play to fall apart and then wing it. The New Yorker asked Conan about the performance of it all, being a heightened you. Now, I'm just a dude in the podcast, but this is how I teach this. I teach, I've been a media executive for 30-something years, and I teach the college class, and I always tell everybody, you have to be real, but you ramp it up to 105%. And, I've talked about this candidly. John doesn't like Adam Sandler movies. I don't find them funny. And I just go on with my life. But Johnny Mack, who records this podcast in the basement, as you know, Johnny Mack hates Adam Sandler movies and loses his mind that they even exist. You can even hear how I just changed my speaking delivery, and I'm getting more animated. So that's the performance part of all this. Conan said, I'm always this guy. There's a height in me, but it's really not that much different. I routinely will just talk to people on the street, complete strangers, and then that will lead to me doing a bit and trying to get them into it, trying to do improv with random people on the street. And I've been maced. That's funny. Well, it's not funny, but, wait, John, you're hanging yourself here. Do you think it's funny that Conan O'Brien got maced? No, not at all. That's not funny. I was just laughing at the way I imagined Conan telling the story, but of course it would be horrible if someone maced Conan O'Brien. Did I dig enough of a hole yet? Conan said, yeah, there's a height in me and there's a depressed me that just wants to crawl in a corner and read a book, but I have access to this guy a frightening amount of the time. My father, who was a very smart man and very analytical and a scientist, was looking at me once and he watched every late night show and he said, oh, I see. You're making a living off something that should have been treated. And he wasn't joking. He said, I see your synapses are the rhythm of your circulatory system, and then you found a way to be compensated. And I thought, thanks, Dad. This is probably a good time to remind you, if you'd like this program without the commercial interruption, open up the Apple Podcast app. There's a banner there. It says uninterrupted listening. You click on that. And then for just $5 a month, you get this show and a bunch of others on the network. I also host 5 Good News Stories, and I'm the writer on Palace Intrigue, and we have a lot of fun making these things. But all those would be commercial-free for just $5 a month. It's a great way to support the show. South by Southwest comedy tonight at 7 o'clock at the Creek in the Cave. It is the Don't Tell Comedy All-Stars in partnership with Sponsor Name. Everything has to have a sponsor at South by Southwest. It's very corporate. I think the people that go there think it's really cool. And like in a fun sense, it's not cool. It's very corporate. It's all about money. And none of this is about art. None of it. 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 Anyway, the Don't Tell Comedy All-Stars include Sophie Buttle, Paris Sachet, Chloe Ratcliffe, Antonio Kareem, and Gavin Matz. That's 7 o'clock at the Creek in the Cave. At 8 o'clock, Esther's Follies hosts Funny or Die Approved. Now, who has Funny or Die approved? Funny or Die has approved. Pete Lee, Paris Sachet again. She's going to be all over town. Tone Bell, Alex English, and Jared Freed. Then at 10 o'clock at Esther's Follies, The Stand presents Pete Lee, Devin Walker, Gavin Matz, and Jamar Neighbors. Then you can catch Devin Walker and Alex English at the Dad Show at 11 at the Creek in the Cave. That's your South by Southwest comedy tonight. One thing I'm noticing, in the past, there have been like pretty shiny comedians at this thing. I don't see them this time unless they're all doing like podcasts, so they're not showing up on the comedy tab as I check on that. But that's South by Southwest. Again, Oscars tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a normal episode, and Oscars recap obviously on Monday morning, and then Monday at noon Eastern, the results of Comedy Survivor. Meet you back here in the morning.